from Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back-to-back bombs, from Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff, to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C, to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano, to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. My, oh my, there's been some good playoff baseball going on, but it feels empty, shallow, and hollow without our Mariners in this thing. Been a wild, wild weekend for college football, NFL, any given Sunday. Y'all know how that goes. Regardless, the Mariners might be on the outside looking in, but you know we rep this team rain or shine. We got our homeboy Indy out there in Nashville, Tennessee, rocking the ones and twos. Super producer Vaden Podcast Services. Vaden Podcast Services. Him and his wonderful fiance make this show come to life. Got to give a huge shout out to all our homies in the live chat. We can't do the show without y'all. We love the knowledge, the jokes, and the stats and everything y'all bring to the table. My main man, RG, fresh off the road, dedication unmatched. He's not a player, but he might fuck a lot. RG, what's going on, bro?
How could you falter when you're the Rock of Gibraltar? I had to get off the boat so I could walk on water. This is no tall task. This is nothing to me. Difficult takes a day. Impossible takes a week. I could do this in my sleep. I've sold kilos of coke. Guessing I could sell CDs. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Let me handle my business. Damn. Shout out to the homie Ty Talks. Vaden Podcast Services presents My Oh My, it's another sports podcast. You know what it is. It's time to go to work.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it, man. That is one of my favorite remix verses I've ever heard in my life. So shout out to the legend Jay-Z, Hove. But man, I don't know if you've been on the road so much lately. I don't know what you've been able to see, what you've been able to watch. But one thing I've noticed is these playoff teams, simply put, have much better situational hitting than the Mariners have been able to put down. Just give me, and I'd be remiss. Talk about a wild weekend for college football. Whatever you were able to capture this weekend, let me know what you're thinking, bro.
All right. Well, let's take a step back real quick before we get into college football, before we get into the Mariners and the week that was in sports. I'm a baseball fan. You're a baseball fan. Most of us were brought together by a love of baseball. Can't go any further without saying rest in peace to the legend Pete Rose. I think it's a damn shame that that man's not in the Hall of Fame. They gave Reggie Bush his Heisman back once NIL came back in. All of these sports leagues take money from each and every single one of these gambling companies. Yet you're going to keep Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame. And if you put him in now, it's a crock of shit. It's an absolute crock of shit if you put him in now. Give that man his flowers while he can still smell them. Now you're just going to write some half-assed, half-hearted shit to the family. I say you keep him out. And not because he doesn't deserve to be in, but if it wasn't good enough to get this shit worked out while he was alive, you look like a bitch to me for trying to get it done now that he's dead. But again, shout out to the homie Pete Rose. Rest in peace. The pioneer of all this degenerate shit we talk about every weekend. But yeah, man, just damn shame. Damn shame that they let one of the greats go without being able to get this thing worked out.
There's so many ways. I'm really glad you brought that up, man, because honestly, time flies throughout the week, and I honestly completely forgot about all of that. But I want to dive into Pete Rose too, but I just want to give a huge shout out to Dikembe Mutombo and his family, because I believe those two sports legends, obviously Pete on a completely different level, they both passed away, I believe, on the same day. And although I'm a diehard Sonics, yeah, diehard Sonics fan, I will never forget when he got that rebound to be the first 1 versus 8 seed to be eliminated. Dikembe's holding above his head. But more importantly, this man was a philanthropist in the Congo, I believe, in Africa. And obviously, there are numerous problems where any philanthropy can be a great benefit to society. So shout out to Kembe Mutombo. But when it comes to Pete Rose, bro, I mean, he was like the spearhead of the 1970s dynasty, which was the Big Red Machine. The dude has well over 4,000 hits, easily the hit king. I mean, I can't even wrap my mind around any current ball player getting to 3,000 in today's era, let alone freaking 4,000. We all know if you're playing really hard nosed ball, Charlie Hustle, you might be called by one of your coaches. That's an ode to Pete Rose. And damn it, man, RG, we are never going to see a runner bulldoze a catcher to try to get to home in an all-star game anymore, let alone a real game. So yeah, shout out to Pete Rose. And you know where I stand. I think it's a bunch of bullshit that he's not in the Hall of Fame. This isn't the hall of fake morals out here. It's a hall of the very best baseball players ever, but they made their decision, they stood on it, and rest in peace to the legend.
You brought up an interesting stat, so I kind of wanted to take a look to see who is even close. And the first article that I pulled up, to not be a complete jerk looking away from the live camera, uh, is kind of an old one. And Joey Votto, at the time of this article came out, was at 2,100 hits. Nelson Cruz was at 2,053. Then it names players like Michael Brantley and Daniel Murphy, who barely made it halfway to 3,000. Elvis Andrews and Andrew McCutcheon each got their 2,000 hit in 2023. And then it goes all the way down to old Evan Longoria, who hadn't quite gotten to 2,000 yet. So, yeah, man, that number is going to be, it might be the most untouchable record in sports. Might be the most untouchable record in sports as we continue to live through the eras that we're going to be defined as we continue to grow and get older. But yeah, man, how could you not? It is complete living off of morals and what is perceived to be right and wrong. Just had a chance to do it and didn't do it, and now the opportunity's missed. You know, my grandfather would always say, "Don't let the sun set on your anger, because you might not have a chance to say good morning. You're sorry tomorrow." And here they are. He's gone now, and there's no way to make that right. And it wouldn't, and how could you stand on, oh, he bet on this, he bet on this. You know how much money that they're putting into? You can't watch anything without seeing DraftKings or FanDuel or BetMGM advertised. And all four major sports leagues are in bed with them. It's cool. What's my man Finesse 2 times say? It's cool if you do it, but it's a problem if I do it. Fuck it. I'm already angry. We haven't even got to fucking John Stanton yet.
Oh boy. Well, you sure sent us a good article, man. And John Stanton, Jerry Dipoto, I feel everyone in that upper offices are culpable for the season. I mean, we finished one game out. I feel that honestly finished worse than one game behind. We kind of just got on a little winning streak after we were eliminated. But I've been trying to do numbers in my head while we've been talking about this thing on the wax, man. And the actual number, RG, is the Mariners had $64.9 million. So basically $65 million in massive unproduction spent on the lineup with Julio, Polo, Garver, Haney, Urias, and JP. I mean, I'm not happy with where our spending is, but Jerry Dipoto, You can't be wasting those $65 million on underproduction. And when I say underproduction, bro, it's massive. Julio down 84 points in the OPS, Polo down 138, Garver down a substantial 243, a completely different hitter. Mitch Haniger hasn't had a good season since 2022. Urias hasn't had a good season since 2022, and JP's OPS dropped 193 points. Stanton's frustrating the hell out of me. I desperately wish we had a new owner, but for me, y'all that know me, I have been a start, like, pound the table, keep Jerry around, and it doesn't matter anymore because he's obviously coming back. But man, you cannot be wasting $65 million with a middle, lower class type of payroll.
The Mariners operated with a payroll of roughly $145 million in 2024. They were around roughly 140 million in 23, 155 million in 22, elevated by signing bonuses on Julio and Castillo, and 105 million in 2021, the year when they emerged from their rebuild a year earlier than anticipated. They peaked just north of 170 million in 18, the final year before the rebuild. And we know the price of this team is going to go up. Cal Raleigh, George Kirby, the OG LOG, or Rose they're eligible for arbitration. Plus Julio's jump from 8 million to 24 million. Now I did see something here that said they may or may not, that they were leaning towards not picking up Polanco's option, just and then see if they can get renegotiate with him. Aside from the expensive component to free agency, there is also the blunt reality that the Mariners have stumbled in that area of roster building, headlined by the largest contracts to both the pitcher under Dipoto, the $115 million that they gave to Robbie Ray, and the $24 million that they gave to Mitch Garver. You hear the Garver, an above average hitter by WRC plus. League average is 100 for his entire career. Was worth 88 WRC plus and a minus negative 0.04. Sorry, a negative 0.4 WAR per Fangraphs in his season debut with the Mariners in 2024. The glaring piece of all of this is we need offense. We need impact players on offense. And if you haven't seen the article yourself, it's on MLB.com under the Mariners tab. Feel free and go out and read it. Me and Tyler aren't going to read it all for you. But it's interesting to see what it talks about at the end, where Stanton talks about what he would say to the fans. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to be talked to like I'm stupid. Or somebody who thinks that they're smarter than me just because they make some more money than I have. I can't stand that. Absolutely can't stand it. He's the cause of all of this. He's the cause of where we're at. Jerry and Justin can only do so much, but Jerry also needs to take some of this heat for this. 10 years under him, one playoff performance. One playoff performance. I saw something today that in the last 6 years under their current management, that the Phillies have played in 31 postseason games in the last 6 years. Then I've seen the Twins general manager, who has 3 division titles in under his belt in 6 years, is walking away from the team. But yet we're going on year 11 of we're doing you a favor. And now, yeah, I get it. He said it last year. But it's like being stuck in a never-ending cycle in a bad relationship already. I'm old. I'm old. I'm not. I didn't just show up in 21. I didn't just show up post-COVID. Been a Mariner fan for a very long fucking time. In any other regular organization other than the Yankees, because God knows they've given Brian Cashman way too many passes for his one World Series title back in 09. how are these guys still in power? And that you're asking the fan base to be patient. One playoff appearance is 23 fucking years. How much more patient do we have to be? Go ahead and take the ball, Ty.
Well, here's the thing too is I try to give a little bit of relief, some compassion towards Jerry and his record since he's taken over the team cuz I feel there was 3 years where we weren't supposed to win. 20 was it 2021 was Kyle Seager's last season and we came up short on the last game of the year. I was at T-Mobile Park for that crushing game when we came up one short, and I feel the team arrived a year early, but still, so say I even give them a 3-year pass, then that's still, 1 out of 7, which would get most GMs fired in most cities across the country. So even if you give them a big old mulligan, it's still not good enough. And then RG sent us a really good article, y'all, on MLB.com, and I really liked it too because we sometimes get too much sugarcoating from the local Seattle media stuff I read, bro, where they're not willing to burn the bridges of their relationships with the team, so they're not going to say it how they should. And while I understand that, it was really refreshing because the MLB writer is much more of an outside looking in, and they don't have these relationships that they have to worry about burning. And so they listed out the payrolls. And so they said back in 2018, the Mariners were eighth in payroll. They topped out at 170 million. So that's what, about 25 million more than we were operating with to start the season this year, but it's actually way more than that because we're not accounting for inflation. Like, 2018 money isn't the same as 2024 money. RG, I busted out the inflation calculator on the internet for the Mariners to maintain their 2018 payroll. That would mean we jump up to $213 million this year. So clearly, well, they're cheaping out on us because like you just said, I don't like it when they're acting like I'm dumb. I'm no mathematician. I'm not Warren Buffett out here making all these transactions. But even a delivery driver like myself can figure out that 170 is actually substantially more. 213 is where I think we should be at this year if we just wanted to maintain what they've proven they've been willing to spend in a given year.
Yesterday's price is not today's price. We've said that before. Stanton says, I intend this team to win, have a winning record every season, be in the playoffs most season, and we will win a World Series. I don't know about you, man, but it's getting kind of deep in here walking around all that bullshit. Where's the move? I listened to another sports columnist say it like this, that what you want as a fan and what you want as someone in the organization is to see the move from upper management that signifies to you we're dead serious about this and we're going all in. Push the chips to the table. What do you have to lose? What good is having the second best farm system in baseball if none of those guys are major league ready and can come up and do anything? Locklear showed flashes of brilliance. Bliss was a little over his head, and I like that guy. Where's the move to show that this is what we're doing and we're all in on this, and we're going to try to give you the payoff? Where is that? When is it coming? How much more patience do you need to be? I believe our producer sent a meme that he found that said only one team in baseball has never scored a run in the World Series since the original Xbox came out. And that just made me feel even worse. Just whether you're, as I like to call them, a front office Avenger, or you're like me where you're tired of the same old dog and pony show dance, both parties are right. Whether you want to keep being patient or whether you're ready to blow the shit up, both situations are correct. These two things can be true at the same time. I won't tell you how to fan, you don't tell me how to fan, but it's like we are okay with having a second place team, and that's not what I buy the MLB package for. That's not what I hop on planes and travel to go see the Mariners to go do. I'm not cheering for us to have incredible profit margins that then result in them not turning around and proving that we're trying to go all in for this World Series. It's like we're hoping we backdoor it into it and just so happen to be playing the last week of October. Talk shit about the Padres all you want. Mariner fans were going in on the Padres last year. Padres might win the whole goddamn thing this year. And lost Juan Soto.
It's jealousy, man. Most of us talk shit when we're jealous.
Yes. I get that we don't have Guggenheim money like the Dodgers. I get it that we're not the most historic franchise in baseball like the Yankees and don't have two shit crazy owners who are just willing to do whatever it takes like the Phillies and the Mets do. But it seems that those are the only four teams who show up to spring training who expect to be playing the last week of October. And they've positioned their teams to be able to do so. And they'll do what it takes, no matter what no matter what it is. All right. Oh man. Again, just it's unfortunate to try to watch this year's playoffs. We were up 10 fucking games June 18th. 10 fucking games. Like you said, it feels a lot worse than missing it by one game. And, we only missed it by one game because no one else had anything to play for those last 4 days because it had already been decided. So they're trying to figure out rotations. They're resting players. To me, we lost it by 4 games
Yeah,
because the
I
last
agree.
3 games we played didn't matter for shit. And then, like you said in our on our off mic conversation, the team is alive and swinging the bat well. And how do we get that effort when none of it fucking matters?
It's a
Six
lot
extra
easier to
nights of
perform
that
when there's
effort.
no pressure.
Right. Absolutely. I guess the lights might not be that much brighter when as soon as you're out the playoffs and you're more relaxed up there at the plate and you take better at bats. Fuck.
There's some good shit going on in the live chat right now. Mariners Lifer says he has no patience left, and we're with that, man. For us to want to be patient, like there to me, there might not be a single fan base that's more loyal and more patient than the Seattle Mariners. I honestly wanted to come on here talking that shit to Tay, saying, your Astros got booted first round. But it's hard for me to even talk that shit right now because it just feels like a little brother poking a big bear. Like, bro, as soon as I punch you, you're gonna crumble, man. Get off me. And although I am happy the Astros got bounced, it's really shallow. And to me, it shows how much losers we are that we celebrate other teams losing like that. Winners celebrate yourself winning, not you don't celebrate other teams losing. And then Emmett Brown says it's more like the original Atari since basically Asteroids was the hottest video game on the planet at your local arcade when the Mariners came around. We still trying to get this shit done. And then Tommy says he promises Stanton will make more money winning. and we've talked about this many times, RG. There is disposable income in the greater Seattle area. No matter the economy, there are thriving suburbs here on the east side of Lake Washington. Capitalize, capitalize, man. Like I said, there's still Seahawks swag every corner, every store, no matter what. Your grandma that lives across the street from you, who watches two Mariners games per year, will buy a T-shirt and a hat if it says World Series on it. I guarantee it. And what is it? Emmett Brown says he's stoked for next year without Service. He hated that weak mofo. And I think Service was good, but the more I look back on it, RG, his background is player development. He didn't come from the coaching ranks. He came from the front office, and he was in charge of player development. Nelson Cruz gives him mad props for helping him become the player he became. But just because you're great at player development doesn't mean you're the right captain to lead the ship to the promised land. I can't reiterate this enough, even though it's a small sample size. We were 21-13 under Dan and Edgar. That's a 618 winning percentage. You do that, you're in the playoffs every single year. And it's going to be tough this offseason too, RG, because we can get way into our targets as the fall and winter evolve. But I'm seeing people like, let's get Paul Goldschmidt. I look up his stats, and there's a clear decline happening as we speak. His OPS is down to like 712 this year, which makes him barely an above average hitter. And I mean, the average line is about 700. Let's go back to the steroid era, it'd be much higher, but you got to always equate it to the era. But it's not going to be easy to find the right hitters. We might have to trade some of these pitchers that we desperately want. But here's why we might want to do it. I saw a really interesting stat, bro, that the Arizona Diamondbacks led baseball in runs. The Mariners gave up the fewest runs. Both teams missed the playoffs. So teams have to somehow find some sort of balance on their roster to make this shit happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm a conspiracy theorist. I got my tinfoil hat behind me just in case you haven't seen it. Um, I believe the only reason why the Diamondbacks made the playoffs because the Braves and the Mets made a gentleman agreement after game one, where the Mets made that crazy ass comeback. Yeah, we're just gonna take it easy on this. Second one, you going ahead and get in, and let's go rep for the NL East. And the Braves didn't last long; they got bounced out right away. And shit, Mets are what 1-1 with Philly. So, Mitches get stitches, dude. I rep I rep for Mitch Garver. He's from my city. He's from my city. Him and you know how painful it is that him and Bregman have 3 World Series rings that they parade around this city, and they're both on 2 fucking teams I can't absolutely stand. Just the history of the Mexicans who have made it in to the major leagues and have done really well for themselves. I mean, we got a lot of World Series rings here, considering we're probably shit the third least populated state in the whole fucking union. Take you back to the Cardinals with a guy named Tito Landrum. Got a couple of them. We'll go back to even make it a little bit more recent for you. The Giants dynasty of the 2010, a guy named Cody Ross from my actual hometown in New Mexico, Carlsbad, was on those teams. Bregman's got 2. Ken Giles, who was on that Astros team, he's from Albuquerque. Rio Grande High School is literally 5 minutes away from my house. He's got one. You know, Garver's got one. It's good to see someone from our small state get in there and strive, but Jesus Christ, it couldn't happen with them being on 2 worst fucking teams. But I rode for Garver. I tried my best to ride for him, but look back at his stats last year and look at his stats this year. That's kind of what you expect. You kind of expect him to be unhealthy. When he gets healthy, he'll find a way to put it together. But everybody wants to talk about how hard it is to hit in Seattle. Well, why don't we do what Detroit fucking did and alter the fucking field? Or do we not want to lose the pitching advantage and just expect those guys to win 85 games with their arms and we don't do anything with the goddamn bats? Which almost sounds like 2024 to me.
It's going to be tough too. And I don't know if some of these national writers know something that we don't. But I've read multiple reports that they legitimately think Pete Alonso is coming to Seattle, and then they mention he's going to get a contract over $200 million. So I don't see that happening. Call me crazy, but we just got to take people for what their actions have been, and the actions state that they're not going to go and get a Pete Alonso as much as I would love him. Check this out. City Field, according to Google Statcast, is the second hardest field to hit in next to T-Mobile. So there's a hitter that I would be interested in because he's proven to be a slugger in a tough ballpark. But once again, we got to see it to believe it. Emmett Brown, I'm with you, man. The shit that they charge at the field, we know you're raking in the cash. You go to a game on a Saturday, and 2/3 of the stadium is double fisting for 7 freaking innings. Just a shout out to any of my homies in the live chat. There is a Caribbean spot called Paseos south of T-Mobile Park. It has one of the best sandwiches in the city, the Caribbean roast sandwich. So if you're looking to get something outside of the stadium, that is great. I can't recommend Paseo's Caribbean sandwich enough south of T-Mobile Park. But once again, RG, you go to the stadium and the money is flowing. I would love to see their receipts on alcohol sales on a Saturday.
We do apologize for those of you rocking with us on the live. We are having technical difficulties with the live feed coming out of Nashville. Our producer Indy is working on trying to get that back up. Yeah, we do see you, Emmett Brown. Once the mothership is back up, then the live will catch back up. Since we are doing the recording for the podcast as well too, we'll keep rolling and get back to the live chat as soon as we can. But yeah, man, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Seattle is not a broke city. Seattle is not a broke city. I'm sure the money is flowing in left and right. They have the resources to be able to do it. They're just not going to. And to continue to move forward being a fan of this team, we're going to have to be okay with knowing that they look at us like we don't know how to do math and that numbers don't work. Just support or do like I do, maybe you can't do like I do because you live in Seattle. And obviously, it's a lot easier for me to hop a flight and go somewhere to see them. But I haven't been to a Mariners home game in years. Most of the times when I see the Mariners, it's on the road. And if this is the way that management is going to treat this thing, I think I'm okay with going to go see them in Houston or going to go see them at Angel Stadium or when the schedule allows them to play in Phoenix or up in Denver, because those are a lot more economical for me than making my way up to Seattle. And I would help. I don't mind helping your bottom line if your bottom line was then turning around and giving me a team that I could be proud of. Yes, we got here quicker than we were supposed to, but it's almost like there's been bad management and bad planning involved in this too. How did you not know that this team was going to get more expensive as you keep the same nucleus around year after year? How do you let the root sports thing happen? But yet you have money to invest in that pretty warehouse facility across the street. How about a bat for the lineup?
They wanted Hatback Bar and Grill that badly, bro. Oh, they wanted to improve the press box. They wanted to improve the press box so they can buy their way to less negative publicity from the media. We ain't stupid. We see that shit from a mile away.
I'm telling you, man, there's nothing worse than you peeing on my leg and then turning around and telling me it's raining outside.
And the thing is, we're close too. That's what's frustrating. Do you know how many years we've been Mariners fans where we're not even close? And I know we don't have a chance to start the season. And you kind of just say, well, I'll follow as much as I can. But we know this team is actually so close. You just need to push in a little bit to really reap the benefits. And you said it, man. This window is flying by. Gilbert's going to be on ARB 2 in a couple of weeks. Kirby and Cal are going to be on ARB 1 in a couple weeks. We got 2 possible years left with a Rose Arena. We got 2 years left with Robles. I mean, this shit is going to fly by. We got 2 years left with JP, and I would honestly love to upgrade, but I'm not even worrying about shortstop because we know that an $11 million shortstop ain't going anywhere, or I shouldn't say that. He's not going to get replaced. They're not going to pay the sum to replace JP when he still has 2 years and 22 plus $1 million left on his contract. So I don't even touch that. I touch on what we can do, but you're right, man. Urias, talk about taking $5 million and smoking it like a blunt, man.
Up in smoke, real quick for no fucking reason whatsoever, none whatsoever. But again, they get paid to make those decisions, and I'm just a fan. I just have to roll with whatever punches that are in. And we got a lot of time before we get to February and spring training, so we'll get into those discussions about who, what, where, when, why, who's coming, who's not coming, what we can afford, what we can't afford, how does this team look moving forward. But going back to the article, you talk about the service thing, listening to them talk about the personal, Stanton talk about the personal relationship he has with service. And then when they ask him about how it got leaked, and he just put his foot in his mouth and, oh, I can't be responsible for that. You're the motherfucking boss. The decision to replace him had to come from nobody but you. That shit rolls down. There's a leak in your fucking system, and you might need to call a plumber to get that shit checked. The fuck do you mean? Oh, I can't talk about it, but yes, you can. Yes, you can. I mean, maybe you're not going to talk about it to him, but obviously there's a leak somewhere in your organization that you may need to get figured out as you move
Mhm.
forward.
So RG in pro sports, when we hear about these leaks within organizations, I think more often than not they're purposefully leaked and there might not be a rat per se. But in my personal opinion, especially when you sent me that article and reading, because I didn't realize that Stanton and Service had such a personal relationship. This is why you kind of want to keep your business business and your friends, your family, because like Billy Bean said in Moneyball, he's like, I don't go on the road trips and I don't do this and that with the players because it makes it much easier to trade them or cut them when need be. I personally believe after reading that Stanton and Jerry just told someone within the front office lower level, please leak this to the right person. And that way we don't have to have the uncomfortable conversation because they're also friendly together. And if it was maybe more of a business like situation, it'd be a lot easier to fire Scott. I think they purposely had someone leak it so they didn't have to have that conversation.
Notorious B.I.G. tried to tell you, even last week, keep your family and business completely separated. Money and blood don't mix. Personal relationships and money don't mix. You want to fuck up a friendship real quick? Or, and to take it back to even another hip hop lyric, you never really know how another person feels about you until you both up. Because when you're down, there's no strain on everything. Y'all are both living that struggle together. When one of you begins to climb, the other one begins to get motivated by it and then also cheers for your success. When you both up is when things can really get rocky. Because if the only way that I can stay up is to cross you like AI did Mike, it's easier to give forgiveness and permission. But yeah, man, just that that whole article, man, very interesting read. Very interesting read. And it is going to give us a lot to talk about as we continue to move forward.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. It's a crazy situation too, just because when you turn on playoff baseball, man, you just feel the electricity that just doesn't come from any of the 1 through 162 ball games. It
At
just
all.
has a different feel.
At
Like
all.
even on my TV, teams I don't even really give a shit who wins. I just want to see some good intense baseball in the last few innings of a ball game, and there's no replacing it. The Mariners, I don't even know if I said this yet because we've just been rolling. I didn't really plan on a ton just to go with the flow tonight. But you want to know what? The Mariners have been crawling through, or the fans, I should say, the organization also. We've been crawling through the shit from the prison of freedom, like Andy in Shawshank Redemption. We've been crawling through the shit for that long, man. We've been crawling. We're puking in it, and we finally want to see the light. We want to look up to the heavens and have the rain pour down on us. Hopefully, it's World Series champagne, but it starts at the top, and we know these guys care to a certain extent.
It's a very slippery slope that they walking with us. It's a very slippery slope because we're 1 or 2 bad years in this whole projected over the 54% from turning into the new version of the Oakland A's. Not that I think Seattle would lose the team before the fan base to just become completely disinterested. But also, too, I don't know, man. I think that there's an advantage where they can take advantage of the blind loyalty, where there's a large populace of the Seattle market in Everett and Tacoma, and I don't live up there, so I can't name all the little towns around it. Um, it really other than Seahawks games, it's really the only thing in town, especially during the summer. They're gonna make their money. They're gonna make their money. Make a move to show us that you're serious about being able to compete for a World Series, and no more of this fucking cryptic fucking talk where you're talking to us like we're fucking crazy, and we don't know exactly what this offseason is gonna bring. We're gonna want a big bat, and you're gonna get us Jose Abreu.
Oh my god, if that happens, dude.
Nuts, man. Nuts. No, so
All right.
again, apologize to those of you who are following us along the live chat tonight. We are having technical difficulties with the mothership out there in Nashville. Our super producer is working on getting it back up as quickly as possible. But really, we didn't have a whole lot to go over tonight. Matter of fact, anyway, we do have a very interesting episode next week with a friend of the program, Eric Neal, coming on so we can go over the year in review and just finally put a nail in this coffin of the 2024 season, and then began to move on to covering some other sports as well as baseball. The baseball playoffs, NBA preseason starting to kick up. We're fully in the swing of football, and I'm telling you, man, NFL and college just starting to get real interesting, man. Anything can happen. Anybody seems to be able to beat anybody. I want to give another shout out to Albuquerque because a kid from Albuquerque's Volcano Vista High School named Diego Pavia, even though he is a little bitch, did just beat the #1 team in the country. Oh no, you don't understand what kind of a bitch he is. So I get that he was upset that the Lobos didn't recruit him, but he's fucking short. So of course New Mexico State was going to recruit him. And then they come up here for the rivalry game and he hisses on the practice facility and then gave the most half-hearted apology for it. I get it. I get it. But dude, you from Albuquerque, man. We don't treat our own shit like that. We're not fucking heathens. I don't give a damn what Breaking Bad says. We know better than that. But shout out to that kid, man. He parlayed that into getting into an SEC school and did what everybody who doesn't go to one of the power schools for. Hope that you have a Saturday night that they'll make a documentary about. Man, he sure did have it. Threw for 254, 2 touchdowns, in a 40-35 victory over the #1 team in the nation. And what I thought the coolest shit about this weekend was, you got to give it to Vanderbilt. It, it, making the most of living in Nashville. They paraded the goalposts right down the heart of downtown and then threw it in the river
Uh,
the way you're supposed to do it.
I think they had to carry that thing a couple of miles to get to that river
Yeah, because it
also.
ain't close. It ain't close. And no one was leaving until that thing touched the river. And they talk
Oh
about there's no
shit.
unity amongst us.
That's the beauty of sports right there, man. Because this is obviously a contentious time for all Americans, no matter where you stand on the political and economic spectrum. So it's always great to have something that unifies us during divisive times. Mariners lifers saying, is NIL making college football balanced? And I absolutely think it is. There's also a couple other factors I would throw in the transfer portal because you're not going to have like Miami in the early 2000s, where you have three or four Pro Bowl running backs on your roster at one time. And then I also kind of think, RG, that this expanded playoff, we're seeing our very first year of it. I think that there's more teams that will look ahead of games more often because it's not that do or die scenario where you get one loss, you're out of the playoff and championship contention. What is it, 12 teams now, I think? So you can easily have a couple losses on your resume to make it in. But man, I can't lie, bro. I've watched less than 5 minutes of Vanderbilt football in my entire life, and I was glued to the second half of that shit on Saturday night. For any college football fan, that was fucking awesome.
It was, man. It was a party to be had. It was absolutely a party to be had. And again, even though personally I may have the feelings I do towards him, for me, from my small state and my small part of the world, it was definitely good to see a kid from Volcano Vista High School uh, orchestrate the upset of the season right now in college football.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I wanna say there was 3 or 4 games that fans stormed the field on Saturday, so that's how crazy it was. We saw UW get their cheese dick revenge, I would call it, on Michigan. A lot of people are really hyped, and I'm just thinking, "Why didn't that happen last January?" But, I mean, it is what it is. We saw that exact scenario with the Seahawks at New England the very season after the interception on the 1 yard line. Seattle fans should be used to it by now. But yeah, just a fantastic weekend. Emmett Brown saying that the stadium was rocking and electric 2 years ago. It was. And if we can even get the Mariners T Mobile to anywhere close to a college football atmosphere, fantastic.
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. What I personally like during the postseason is the energy out of the road team's dugout
Oh, yeah.
because there's no one in there, and when they get to rocking, it just takes over everything because the stadium is quiet and there's just 30 people in there just going as bonkers as they can. So that's all. That's all you got. That's all you got. Like, did you happen to see any of this shit that happened in LA tonight between the Dodgers and the Padres?
No, man. What's up?
Oh man, people out there throwing shit at Tatis from the stands.
Oh, no.
And then the Padres came up the next inning and hit more home runs. Just loving it. Just loving it. The rivalries are real, man. Just loving it.
It's fun. It's just an atmosphere you can't get anywhere. Padres got dad Dodgers fan acting like SEC fans. I can't go there, Mariners lifer. On my bucket list is to go to some of these Southeast Conference games because I've been to some damn good college football games. I've been to a few stadiums, but I'd have never been to the Southeast. And we know that shit's like religion down there. But too much fun. Too much fun. I don't want to rain on your parade, man, but your Seminoles frankly suck right now. They are lucky that their starting quarterback got hurt, I believe. So they put the backup in. It doesn't seem to be doing a damn. Deion Sanders is working miracles at Colorado. That team has had like one good season since the 90s when they had Cordell Stewart. Are they going to come calling for prime time to come home?
They may be in a position where he may not take it if they call him.
Mm.
Because what do they have for him? What do they have for him? They may have more than Colorado, but obviously they don't have what it takes to be able to compete in this NIL world. by the simple fact that you
Mm,
didn't pay Cam Ward and you went after DJU.
interesting.
Just my
I
thoughts.
I didn't really think of it like that. But there's like cool ways that coaches are motivating players right now because the Wazoo Cougars beat UW in Seattle. And I can't remember, they had another big win also this year, but the Wazoo head coach was saying, "Yeah, we beat two $5 million teams this year. What do y'all think about that?" And I love that shit right there. I guess teams that don't have all the NIL money, obviously you have to develop, but you have to get your players with a giant chip on their shoulder. And it's fun. I love it.
Absolutely, man. We're definitely going to see what type of turns that college football takes now with the NIL in place, now with the expanded playoffs. They were talking about that it would take away from the luster of some of these games. That scene in downtown Nashville on Saturday night told me that all of this shit still matters to somebody.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. Again, we thank you for the patience of those of you rocking with us in the live chat. Our super producer worked miracles, man. Was able to get you guys back involved in it. Unfortunately, that might be a wrap on it tonight, though. Not a whole lot to discuss. We do want to save some meat on the bone for next week's episode. Again, special guest Harry Nail coming through so we can put the nail in the 2024 season of that which was the Seattle Mariners. Ty, any final thoughts, man?
Fun time of year. The frustration amongst Mariners fans is palpable right now, as well it should be. And I know not everyone's an outdoorsman type, but maybe go get yourself a fishing pole at Walmart or some shit like that. Because we need to do some things to not, like you said, blindly show up to the ballpark. And there's not a ton of sports teams out here, but if you can find anything else to do, do that. And damn it, Stanton. Come on, baby. Stanton, Depoto, ownership front office. We need more from y'all. We really do.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's the homie Ty Talks, man. Looking forward to next week. Hopefully the Seahawks beat the Wine. Man, San Francisco. Dude, we gonna get into it a lot more. We're sorry for the abbreviated episode this week, but we do got more coming for you next week. Ty Talks, man, the homie as always. I couldn't do this without him. Special shout out to Vaden Podcast Services. Presents My Oh My, it's another sports podcast each and every Sunday night. We try to be live on YouTube and as well on Twitch. Follow us all on our socials, My Oh My ASP. You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Ty puts out shorts all week. Entertaining things coming from our social media director, Miss Katie Matsumoto, helping the engine keep running. For those of you who can't make the live episode, you can get your recording each and every Tuesday morning, wherever you get your favorite podcast from. Thank you for the download numbers. Thank you for those of you that rock with the live chat. Don't forget to give us a like, give us some suggestions, and most importantly, hit us up, man. We love to see some of you on the chat, be in here in this chat with us, and get part of the live and let you be our special guest co-host. None of this is possible without you. We thank you for rocking with us. That's the homie Ty Talks 24. Shout out to the homie Andy in Nashville. I'm that dude RG. Y'all have a good Sunday night. We'll see you next time.